Hello and welcome to the first edition of Against the Ropes. Calling the action is myself, Christian Mosqueda Ramos, alongside Gio Garcia.
Yes, sir. Hello, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys have your popcorn ready. Canelo's the man.
And Chris Rodriguez.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, guys, let's jump into it. We're talking about the fight of the weekend, the big clash of the middleweights.
Mungia.
Canelo and Triple G, of course. So, guys, how did you guys score it?
I scored it just like the judges had it.
Which one?
115, 113. Canelo.
And why do you feel like he won this fight around Gio?
He just won more rounds. That's it.
Chris, how did you see it?
Oh, I had it as a draw.
Oh, he had a draw.
114. The last round I had heading to the 11th round, I had Triple G winning it by 1 round.
Okay.
And then the 12th round is kind of hard to debate like who won it, but I kind of gave it to Canelo towards the end, like that final minute.
That 12th round?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we talked about when we were watching live. Going into the 12th, I think we had Canelo up by 1.
Mm-hmm.
And we said if Triple G won that last round, it would have been a draw, right?
Yeah, that's something that we talked about. Honestly, I did not know because there were so many rounds that were so close. But and Max Kellerman said it best. Canelo was just winning the story. He brought exactly what Abel told him to bring, and he was holding his own. He stood his ground. He's throwing shots back. But it was going into that 12th round. I just knew that Triple G, with these judges, with Vegas, he wasn't going to be up. And so we said it. He has to win these 2 rounds to at least get that draw.
And convincingly, too.
Convincingly.
Those last 2 rounds, he needed them convincingly.
And that's the thing that sucks about like Triple G's like stance towards heading to the fight, that he needed to have a knockout to win the fight, because we knew this was going to happen. A
knockout or knockdowns.
Mm.
Several knockdowns would have helped his cause, and you saw it. If he would have had 1, that would have tilted the fight. But it's so hard to knock Canelo down. What was one of the things that impressed you from Canelo?
For Canelo, I think the one thing that stood out was the fact that he didn't took the words for granted for Abel Sanchez, like all that leading up to like all that mess, whether or not it's Mexican style or coming up forward. Like clearly, if you see, both fighters fought 2 different types of styles. Like in the first fight and the second fight,
Mm-hmm.
Triple G was more up front in the first fight. Triple G was more backwards in the second fight. Canelo was more backwards in the first fight, and then the second one, Canelo was more up front. So it's kind of like tight, But Canelo, he showed us how versatile he is, Yeah.
Gio?
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't think anybody would be able to fight Triple G the way Canelo did. Just basically stand in the middle of the ring, and he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you really saw his boxing skills in this fight. His defense, especially.
Yeah.
I think that's what impressed me the most.
Something that I was very impressed was his stamina. We're used to seeing Canelo gas out, and
We'll talk about that later.
and he takes some breaks, but he of course both guys were tired, but Canelo impressed me. He
did.
Yeah, one of the things I thought that was gonna happen, just like it happened in the first fight, he took a little like those middle rounds off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This fight, he didn't really do that.
Nah.
But they didn't show how much they weigh in during the day of the fight.
No, they didn't.
And I think, but even before that day, like we had the impression that Canelo's body, even though they showed those 2 different pictures of Canelo, one being tan and one being one white, but you could see that Canelo's body was much different from the previous fight. Like he was more leaning. Yeah. Everybody like observed it, like all the boxers and the analysts, they saw it. Like Canelo's body is so different compared to the last fight. And I think part of it just comes down to like he knew that he was so gassed out in that first fight that he could have probably like done more. So that was a huge thing regarding like his body.
Yeah, and Hopkins actually talked about that too. He said basically that Canelo was going to try to use that to his advantage, being lighter and being the younger fighter too.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of talk about Canelo, testing positive for clenbuterol, and that is a mass. It leans you out.
What are you trying to say, man?
So Paulie did say it best earlier in the week that there are some effects, and he feels that there was, even though 6 months passed and even though he faced his suspension, he believes that Canelo still
He's still on something.
not well that there was some effects that still helped
That's
him out,
still there.
and so we can't. Well, I mean, obviously we can't accuse. But do you feel like maybe that he has a point to that?
Paulie does have a point, but it's not Canelo's fault. Like why he's in that situation, because at the end of the day, like that's why boxing is what it is. Like it's not even regulated at all. That's why maybe Canelo should have been more suspended than just 6 months. I think like maybe that's why that still lingers. Some boxers get suspended for like a year or two. Even when Wilder was supposed to fight Povetkin, like he got treated. I guess he got caught using a drug substance, and he got banned for like a short amount of time, like more longer than Canelo. So like, I understand that part, but even like boxing in its whole, like it's not really regulated with as far as like when you get, caught with something. So that sucks.
Yeah, I don't think it had anything to do with it. I think it was just a great fight. I don't want to take away from how good the fight was. And like Christian was saying, it's not very regulated, the sport of boxing. So I'm pretty sure there are other guys, using stuff. So I feel like everybody does it.
Yeah.
It's part of the sport.
You guys know I'm a Triple G fan, but seeing this fight, I had to, see it as impartial as I could. I actually scored it 7-5 to Canelo. And again, it was just that we always hear this thing, this ring generalship, and I feel like he showed a lot of that in this fight that he lacked in the first fight, and that's always gonna sway the judges, whichever way. So,
I think what impressed me from this fight was the fact that you have to look into consideration when a fighter is at 35, 36 years old, like who they face during that time, right? And if you look at Triple G, who was fought during that time, he's been fighting fighters like that, been 6 or 8 years younger, right? So like in this fight, what impressed me the most with Triple G was not his skills, his ring generalship, him listening to Abel Sanchez. Like literally, like even Max Kellerman and everybody in the fight, they were saying, "Oh, look, Triple G looks like he's done. He's hurt." Like during the middle of a fight. In fact, I think there was a round towards when he went to the ringside to his corner, and Abel Sanchez said, "We're losing."
Yeah.
And then I was telling people right on my side, like, "Hey, look, I wonder how Triple G reacts, right?" Oh man, that was no technique, no punching power. Like that was, you can't, like that. You have to have it in you, dude. Like for him to like step up like that, he was losing. He was losing. Like that was impressive from Triple G, man.
It almost felt like they were writing Triple G's obituary. It seemed like he was getting old, through the 6th, 7th, and 8th round.
And Triple G must have probably heard that from from Max
From
or
Max.
Jim Lampy. Like, nope.
Yeah, because for a second we were believing it too. We're like, man, he is.
Yeah, I was impressed by that too, because like you said, it just looked like he dug deep. And he came out, I think it was the 10th round, and that's when he kind of hurt Canelo, I think, in that round. And he threw a lot of punches in that round. And Triple G's style is not to throw 4 or 5 punches at a time.
Yeah.
And in that round, when he caught Canelo, he threw like 15 punches in a row. So that was pretty impressive.
And remember, Joe, we were at the Triple G May 5th fight. He threw those same punches against Banes, and he cleared him out. He knocked him out. But Canelo just took those punches so well. I mean, he was hurt, but he was still up.
And that's one of the things I want to talk about. In my analysis of the fight, I think Canelo has a better chin than Triple G, but we'll get into that later.
But you know what? This fight, to me, if there's a fight that you compare this fight, it has to be Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko.
Oh, yes.
Just because they're both fighters, one was young and the other one was elderly, and it looks like his reign was going to end, which is Klitschko, and even Triple G's reign is going to end, right? And then next thing you know, Klitschko gets knocked down, and then he comes back, right? Nice. And he almost looks like he's about to finish Joshua right towards the end. And but then at the end of the day, the box game and Anthony Joshua sealed his fate, right, by knocking him down. Triple G, the opposite. He it's ironically because Tom Loeffler, he's both promoters of Klitschko and Gennady Golovkin. So I'm pretty sure he was in the ringside like, wow, again, back to back year. No, but Triple G's like, nah.
Yeah. No, I was very impressed how he dug deep and how he dominated that. I believe it was that 10th round.
Yeah, 10th round. I think it was.
And I feel like if he would have showed some more of that in some of the other rounds, those very close rounds would have, tipped in his favor. And
I think that's part of the reason why Triple G wasn't in the ringside after the fight was over, because I feel like he gave literally everything. Like there was no more. Like what else can you like punch? What other combination what else should I bring to the table? Like there's nothing else that I could do to win this fight anymore.
So I'm asking Chris, do you feel like he got robbed?
No, he didn't get robbed.
Okay, so you think he left the ring because he was just done with the establishment? He was just like,
well, I mean, that's what I said. Like leading up, even like remember I was telling you like, oh, I'm gonna make sure when I text you, I'm gonna text you like an essay, dude. Literally leading up to the fight, like Triple G has been like done dirty this past full year, dude. Like the way they stripped him his belt in May 5th, they didn't let him like have I'm not even gonna use the B word, but they let him use like fight somebody else that nobody knows, right? But then when they did that, they ended up stripping him of his belt.
B-U-M.
And that took away the one word that nobody, like no boxer has besides Terrence Crawford, and that's undisputed, right? And that was the main goal for Triple G to have towards the end, right? Clean out Canelo, even though Canelo doesn't have a belt, but I could bring probably 40 million from him, and then fight Billy Joe Saunders, and finally be undisputed.
That's the thing about certain fighters, and we'll get into this when we go to the pound for pound. There's some fighters that could be undisputed, but some fighters don't want to fight them. They're holding on to that title. They're making excuses for not fighting their mandatories, and so those fighters that could have been undisputed, could have risen up on the ranks, they just can't because they don't have that pathway.
Yeah,
it's blocked.
And I that's why I give so much credit to Triple G. Like he's been a 160 all of his life.
Yeah, I feel like we all see him as the undisputed middleweight champion. Like before this fight, I mean, there is no other real middleweight champion other than him this whole time during his reign. And I mean, there was one, but he didn't want to fight him, right? Billy Joe.
And Billy Joe, I think he's just been waiting. He's been waiting for Triple G to get old, something that the Golden Boy...
yeah, he was open. I think last year he was saying, oh, I'm just waiting. Like, I just need one more year or something like that. And that's cool because he did school with David Lemieux, like, last year. Like, he impressed me in that fight.
Yeah. I was impressed, too. I thought he was going to get knocked out. But
yeah, that was an impressive knockout by Lemieux. Right?
Yeah, that's
I'm assuming he's going to fight a Canelo next. Right, Golden Boy.
So one thing about like boxers in general, like if you look at who they fight during their history, you'll notice that mostly the fighters that they fight are because they're part of that stable, that promotion, right? So first you got to milk out every fighter that you have within your own promotion, because not only are you able to protect your record, but you're also doing a favor to your promoter because the money is within, right? And then
Get
once
a bigger piece of the pie.
Yeah, exactly. So once you milk all the fighters that you can, then you go ahead. Right, and that's part of the reason why Pacquiao and Mayweather didn't happen, right? Yeah. There were so many fighters out there that you have to milk before you can finally fight them.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to get into the fight analysis?
Let's break it down.
How'd you see it in the first 3 rounds, Christian?
Honestly, I could have easily given those 3 rounds to Canelo. I saw him just hold his ground, and he started, I expected him to backpedal a little bit, and he did not. He just stood his ground, and so I guess I was swayed the first time with that. So the first time I saw the fight, I gave that round to Canelo. And thereafter, seeing that fight again, I could see him getting 2 out of those 3 rounds. 3, I could do a case for that. So I had maybe the all 3 rounds for Canelo.
I saw it pretty similar to that. I think in the first round, not much happened, right? But you saw since the beginning, same mistake that Triple G did in the first fight. No body shots.
No body shots. And that's a question that I want to pose to you guys. Do you think he did not go to the body because Canelo's body shots, he felt, maybe this is what I think. If I go to the body, this guy's gonna hit me at the body first, and he's younger, I'm gonna feel it more. I might slow down a little bit more. Do you think that played a role, Chris?
If you like in general, if you go ahead and try to hit somebody within the body, right? Look how you're doing your arms, right? You're going like this, so you're not even protecting yourself like this, right? So if you miss, that's it, dude. You're going to get either an uppercut or a straight jab, and it could be done. So I think that's I think there was probably a punch within probably the first fight that Triple G still remembers. Part of the reason why he still didn't win to the body. And I'm pretty sure Abel Sanchez must be probably mad at Triple G, like, how come he didn't win to the body? But the thing is, even though Triple G didn't win to the body, there were some punches that were uppercuts that changed the fight. That made a difference for Canelo to, like, back away. Damn, this guy's not giving up yet. And that's what ended up happening. But as far as, like, the first 3 rounds, I had it Canelo 3-0.
Okay. Yeah, and that's one of the things we talked about before the fight. We were wondering if Triple G was going to throw body shots. And, I mean, he threw less body shots, I think, in the second fight. And then in the interviews, when they asked Abel or Triple G, they really don't have an answer as to why. I mean, so...
Yeah, only Triple G knows.
That's interesting. I thought the same thing too, because already Canelo has the advantage, you know, in hand speed. So when Triple G does throw to the body, you know, he puts himself at risk of a counterpunch, right? But yeah, that's what I saw in the first 3 rounds, really. Triple G throwing a lot of jabs. He didn't throw the right much, really, in the beginning of the fight. And he was kind of moving a lot. But he wasn't necessarily moving backward, though. He was moving to the sides.
Yeah. Like somebody said, like, I forgot who said it. Probably Paulie. He was talking about, like, how Canelo never had Triple G on the ropes.
Yeah.
Triple G was never on the ropes in this fight.
Yeah, no.
But the thing is, on the first fight, I feel like Canelo made that as a choice to be on the ropes.
Yeah. I think he was betting him in.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Triple G back Canelo up." I didn't see it that way. I just thought it was Canelo's choice.
Yeah,
because in a lot of those instances, it's not as if Triple G was really like pressuring him. He just took some steps back. You know, it was not as if Triple G was throwing jabs and hooks and he was backing up into the ropes.
If you look at the fight against James Kirtland against Canelo, that knockout, he was against the ropes.
Yeah, and he turned him around.
Yeah, so I can think he was trying to aim for Triple G for that, but he's to understand, I'm not no James Kirtland, you know?
Yeah. And Canelo's pretty good at that, too. You know, like you said, he spun Kirkland around and then knocked him out eventually. The first 3 rounds, I think, were pretty confident, you know, in saying that Canelo probably took those first 3 rounds, right? I think Triple G looked kind of tired in the first 3 rounds to me. And then the body shots that Canelo was landing looked like they were affecting him, even since the beginning of the fight.
Yeah, that's something that we noticed. Every time Canelo landed a body shot or a devastating one, Triple G would just freeze up and he wouldn't throw anything right away back.
And then one thing I also realized was that I think Canelo got to the point where he probably realized in the first fight, maybe like in the 6th, 7th round, he probably realized that Triple G couldn't really hurt him, because most guys that Triple G has fought, I feel like they're already beaten, like, mentally before they even step into the ring.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like Canelo in the first fight, he may have looked intimidated at times, but I think he got to that point where he realized, if I just stand up and, you know, not necessarily go toe to toe, but if I stand in the middle of the ring, I can have some success against Triple G.
Oh yeah, he knows from the first fight, like, he's always gonna have more success when it's the boxer against.
And you
the
see
slugger.
it since the first round, he stood in the middle of the ring against Triple G.
And there was a point that Oscar said on, I believe he was on ESPN. Oscar said that his toughest fight when he fought Tito, or his toughest rounds, were the last 3, when he decided just to move and, you know, run, and that's when that pressure came in. So he said Canelo, to win this fight, he has to stand up to the bully, and that's what he did. I guess that's what took out some of that pressure, because again, his best defense was he has great defense, Canelo, already, but his, you know, another aspect of his defense is his offense. And so I guess, how'd you guys score the next 3 rounds? 4-6.
I think from the first 3 rounds, the only reason why I gave those rounds to Canelo, obviously he was effective, but it's just like he changed, like, the whole movie, the script. I'm not used to seeing Triple G moving backwards. And I think a lot of people, for so many years, probably the past 2 years, in regards to Bernard Hopkins talking about Triple G does not know how to, even Oscar De La Hoya too, Triple G does not know how to box going backwards
He's never had to.
because he's never had to, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I mentioned, and I was emphatic about before the fight. I couldn't really see Triple G winning this fight because he's never really had to fight different styles throughout his career. If you think about Canelo, the fighters he's boxed against, like Lara or Mayweather, guys who are hard to punch. So he's seen that style. He's faced guys who have power. You know, Kirkland has pretty good power. They say Cotto has pretty good power. You know, he's faced that throughout his career. He's faced guys with good chins. You know, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Good chin, yeah.
But he's fought many styles. You know, even Khan, he's a faster, probably better boxer than Canelo. But I don't think Triple G has had that, you know, or had that up to this point. Before Canelo, he didn't really have to box a lot of guys. Yeah. I think the only guys I can remember him really making it a tactical fight is Lemieux and Daniel Jacobs. But those guys are nowhere near, you know, Canelo's level, so it's different.
But that's where, like, I judge a boxer. Like, Triple G doesn't have the option that, oh, I'm going to choose you to fight me in the ring, right?
True.
Canelo's like, I'm going to choose you to fight me in the ring, right? So that's why, like, yeah, David Lemieux, Daniel Jacobs, you at least have to give him, like, some sort of credit for fighting those type of fighters during that time. And I think Jacobs is probably like 4 years younger at the time when he fought Triple G, and Lemieux was
190
actually
pounds. Too.
Yeah, Lemieux was actually, I think, 8 years or 6 years younger than Triple G in that fight, and he schooled him. Yeah. But then, like, Canelo, though, like, he can fight anybody, right? So I think maybe I'm a little biased towards Canelo, but I think that's part of the reason why I'm a little bit biased, because you're able to probably pick and choose who you want to fight, right? But then you fight fighters like that nowhere in your weight class. Amir Khan, Liam Smith, and by the way, Miguel Cotto. Come on, like, wasn't that even like that's not even like Miguel Cotto has no business doing it at 160, right? Yeah. Just because he took away Sergio Martinez's belt, that's it. Yeah.
Let's not act like Canelo's a true middleweight, though. Probably now he is,
but that's the thing,
he wasn't at that point.
And that's where I gained so much respect for Canelo, because he has never actually fought a middleweight. Yeah. Until that time. And his first time fighting, he gave it a good fight against Triple G.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned before the fight too. People don't talk about it, but Triple G was the bigger guy in this fight. Like, I don't care what people say. Triple G has fought his whole career at 160. Canelo, you know, came up in the lighter weights. He never really fought a true 160, like you said.
Even when he fought Chavez Jr., I think it was catch weight at 164.
Yeah. That Chavez rolls.
You know?
Yeah, that's you guys got it right. For me, I found a new respect for Canelo.
Yeah.
After this fight, before we all know that he's got skills. You know, he's a great boxer. I was looking for a reason to root for him, and
for Canelo,
for Canelo, and the way that he fought, you know, and digging deep as well, because there was a time where he was in trouble for a little bit, 10th and I think 11th.
And that's the same comparison that's why I brought up Anthony Joshua and Klitschko. Like, Joshua had to pick up something deep to get that guy out of the ring against Klitschko. Same thing with Canelo. He didn't took him out of the ring, but, like, he changed the whole, like, storyline. Like, not many people are even going to be thinking about the first fight anymore. People don't talk about how Canelo went up front, you know, fighting Triple G like that. So, yeah, Canelo has my newfound respect, if you want to call it like that, but, like, I still think that it was a draw at the end of the day. Even I don't even need to watch it again, honestly. I still am going to score.
I didn't want to watch it again. Because the fight just happened. Yeah. Like, you know, this past weekend. I wanted to take some time and then watch it later on, but I watched it today. Today when I watched it, I thought it was closer than when I watched it live. But yeah, that's one of the things. I don't know why a lot of people don't give Canelo credit. You know, he is a Mexican boxer, and a lot of Mexican fans were rooting for Triple G.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because he's with Golden Boy, with Oscar, you know, the politics stuff. But one thing I did notice was, after the fight, nobody was really talking about the Clenbuterol controversy or the pay-per-view numbers. It was all about the fight.
Yeah,
And,
that was.
I mean, that's always a good thing. When
Yeah,
people are just talking about boxing, what happens in the ring, and not outside of it.
Yeah, and the way you judge that is if people at the end of the day after the fight is done, like, oh, I want my money back.
Nobody wanted their money back.
Because you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
after Manny and Pac, oh, I want my money back.
Yeah.
And
It
the
was-
whole card was good. It wasn't
Yeah,
just the main event.
Well,
Well,
first of all, HBO did miss up badly.
yeah, they did. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to, like, reference Bob Aaron with that article that I was talking about, like, a couple days
Oh,
ago,
yeah.
but, like, he's right. Like, people were waiting. Okay, look.
Chris, you were at the movie theater, right?
Yes, there's, but I'm just saying
a
there's
lot of popcorn on
a lot of
this.
popcorn, icy. There's 2 days.
That's how they get you, man.
That's how they get you. There's 2 days that people watch boxing.
Yeah.
May and September. That's it.
That's it. This is when all the casuals come, especially.
And then when you finally have the pay-per-view right in May, what happens?
Gets
The
canceled.
controversy, right?
Yeah.
So then you postpone all the casuals and everybody can finally watch boxing. Okay, so we have to wait till September. Then September happens. And you look at the scorecard, the undercard, right? You're like, oh, that's not bad. Mungai, Lemieux, who else? Chocolatito. Yeah, that's cool. And they decide, all right, we're not going to have it at 6 p.m. We're going to have it at 5 p.m. just so we can help out the people on the East Coast so they can watch it so they don't have to watch it at 11
Yeah.
o'clock or at midnight, right?
And we're making so many jokes about that because you know how all the fights pretty much ended in knockouts. The first 3.
That's what I'm saying. So then, like, Dan Rafael was talking about how lopsided all the fights were.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I thought, oh, these are good fights. No, it's because there's only one fighter, right? And then you made the people wait like an hour and a half, basically, for that main event.
Yeah, we had 2 of our guys go get peaks and they missed two other fights.
Yeah. And there was 2 knockouts between that time period.
Wow.
But we're making so many jokes because, even the people are going to get to the arena like pretty late, right?
It's mostly.
And
Yeah.
when people got there at 7, all the fights were over and they had to wait an hour for the main event.
You know what's so funny? Like, I didn't buy the popcorn and the icy until like after. I was thinking about buying it before the Mungai fight, but I was thinking, I don't know, I don't think so. Nah, so I ended up buying it during the intermission, dude.
Yeah.
There should never be intermission in
It
boxing.
should never be intermission for real. Chris is at the popcorn and the icy. Is that a tradition?
Every time I have to move it there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That hour and a half. I know that they really wanted to make sure that they had the event at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
But they should have known like these fights might end early. Like let's not give it. They gave each other too much time. Too much time. Where like
And Chocolatito win like how many rounds?
yeah, like if you know that the first
He
fight,
went, I think, probably like 9 rounds.
7.
But 7, like
I'm not sure.
I know it
don't
was over
remember.
5 rounds
Over
for
5
sure.
rounds
Like
for
he
sure.
did his time.
Yeah, he did his
in
time.
that ring for sure. He helped
Like the thing is, I think after the what was the next fight, Lemieux?
Lemieux.
That was a first round knockout. You kind of
2 minutes.
wait a little bit to get Munguia out. You don't bring him out right away.
Yeah.
They brought him out too
Yeah.
soon. Like if this was gonna go like 20 rounds, like we do 12 now, guys.
Yeah, and just going back to the fight, I think in the 4th round was when Canelo got cut, and I think we mentioned it too, like before the fight. We're wondering like little things that can change the fight, and we mentioned cuts.
Yeah.
In this case, they did a very good job in Canelo's corner because you didn't really. It was a bad cut,
It was.
but you didn't really see all the blood, leaking down his face, and it was never a big factor for him because that could have got him in trouble if you can't see out of your left eye against Triple G.
Not to mention like the blood starts flowing. That's gonna sway the judges a bit
Yeah.
if it's a close round.
Definitely. And after the 4th round too, I noticed Abel told Triple G that he was backing up too much. But I thought at that point Triple G's movement was good because in the middle rounds, a lot of times when they're exchanging, Canelo being the faster guy, he was getting the better of the exchanges. And that's when I think Triple G should have taken a step back and kind of reset. But he didn't really do that a lot. I don't know if that was because of Abel telling him you're backing up too much. But, I mean, I just don't think Abel had a good strategy for this fight.
And that's something we talked about, Gio. Chris, I was like, Abel better have a plan B, C, D.
And,
You know,
and it looked like he just had a plan A, and that's it. Just
Yeah.
stuck with it.
That's the thing with Abel. I think he has so much confidence in Triple G's power, his pressure. He thought that, by baiting him like Canelo in, he was gonna fight the fight that he wanted to, and that Triple G was gonna overpower him or, land those meaningful punches. But with Canelo, you always have to expect the unexpected, that this guy's gonna adapt. So you really have to have like different strategies, because that's once you get hit, once you see something new, you're gonna have to adjust. And Abel failed to do that this time around.
Yeah, and I know before the fight he was saying that he wanted to see Canelo's pretty much just stand there and go toe to toe with Triple G, and he said if Canelo does that, he's gonna be in trouble, right? He said, oh, we should give the fans the fight they want to see, and I think Canelo will be in trouble if he does that. But I mean, I don't think in any part of the fight Canelo was really in trouble, and I think that also had a big impact on the judges, because you're standing there fighting toe to toe against the most dangerous guy in boxing, right?
Yeah.
The power puncher, the knockout artist, and you're taking all his punches and you're throwing right back at him, right?
Yeah.
I think that also had a big impact on the judges.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, Canelo showed that he has one of the best chins right now in boxing, and because there were some shots I'm just like,
I think he has a better chin than Triple G, because like I said, I think pound for pound Triple G is probably the hardest puncher in the game, right? And Canelo was never really hurt.
You could probably
I don't think Triple G has ever been hit by a guy with his type of power, right? Because I don't think Canelo has that Triple G type of power.
You could argue that Abel Sanchez is a good trainer because he helped Canelo in this fight. Like, he literally motivated Canelo to fight a different style that everybody has been like calling him out.
Yeah.
And Canelo, like, all the pressure on this fight was on Canelo. It was not on Triple G. And what made it even worse was Abel Sanchez talking. And I think part of the reason why he was talking is so he could get on his skin, like get on that mindset, Yeah. And that hurt him. Maybe if he would have been quiet, just like leading up to the first fight.
Careful what you wish for.
That's true. Because I honestly, if we would have seen the same fight that we saw in the first fight, I could see the judges give that fight to Triple G just out of sympathy, out of
Abel Sanchez, clearly he wrote the narrative before the fight was going to happen. That's, can you come up to me, right, and fight my fighter? And he did. So, but what did Triple G did in return, right? Basically, kind of the same thing, but like he took Canelo's best whatever he got in that fight. But Abel Sanchez, I feel like he maybe at the end of the day he should have kept his mouth shut.
Yeah, and I even mentioned it to Chris before the fight. I think Abel and Triple G were a little out of character when, all the trash talking was happening. I think Triple G respected Canelo a lot after that first fight, but obviously they're running their mouth. Abel, saying that he ran, and I don't know if that was a good idea to, for Triple G, because Triple G's not that type of guy. And then also you anger your opponent, so now he has extra motivation to go at you.
But the thing is, I think the anger is not towards Canelo. I think the anger is towards the whole promotion of Golden Boy. Let me tell you why. So when they were thinking about fighting, what's his name? Banis? Is that his name? Banis for May 5th. Before that, there was two fighters on the line. The first one was Mungai. But then the boxing commission said no because he's 21 years old and he's brand new, stuff like that. Everybody's like, he was going to get payday too. But so that would have been a good fight, right? So then what happens next? So then there was rumors and there was talks that it was going to be the guy that Lemieux knocked out. O'Sullivan. Right? But you know what, Tom Nofer and Triple G said, nope, we're not gonna fight no fighters from Golden Boy Promotions. We're gonna keep it within our own. This goes back to what I was saying, milking all the fighters before you could fight, that fighter. So that's what they did. They didn't want no business with Golden Boy Promotions because the way how negotiations have been. So I think there was a lot of hate leading up to that. So there was no hate in the first fight at all leading up to it.
Yeah.
It was all mutual respect. But then after what happened in February, the getting caught, for using a substance, and then the promotional going on back and forth. Who's Triple G gonna fight? This and that, and they offer him a solo band, but they're like, nope, we're not gonna give you the money for Cinco de Mayo. So
that's the reason why I was a little upset at Canelo. He messed up my Vegas plans.
And they had Sullivan fight the day before Triple G at the StubHub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, continuing to the analysis of this fight, how'd you guys see the middle rounds? Because I think those were the closer rounds. They're pretty hard to score.
Yeah, those are very close rounds. I saw Triple G looking a little bit better than what he did in the first round, and so there were some rounds that were just very close.
It's crazy because one thing I noticed was that Triple G he actually started slow, and then he kind of picked it up as the fight went on. It just seemed like they switched roles from that first fight, right? I think from the first round, Canelo was being the aggressor, and Triple G was doing more of the movement in this second fight. So to me, it seemed like they kind of switched roles.
Yeah.
The first fight, a lot of those middle rounds were Triple G's. Second time around, there were some rounds. I feel like it's crazy because I obviously I was rooting for Triple G, and I talked to Joe about this before. Like if you're a judge, you're looking for looking for a reason,
right,
to give
something. Yeah,
and for Canelo, there was always something that you could say, okay, he won the round because he went to the body, because he landed those those power shots, because he did this, because he did that, he did defense. Like there was always something. And if you're the Triple G, fan, he gave you something, but then Canelo answered right back, so it made those rounds very tough.
And that's interesting because that's what I was going to get into too. As I was watching the fight the second time, I started thinking, Canelo fights like he's training, because you don't really see too many boxers, and the only guys I can think of right now, Floyd Mayweather and Lomachenko. These guys, when they fight, they look like they're training. You see them do exactly what they do during their training, right? Slipping punches and then counter punching. Like that was interesting to me, and I think also Canelo's getting that Mayweather effect, right? Like in this fight, he'll make Triple G miss badly and then come back with his, even if it's not the biggest punch. But if you make one guy miss badly and then you come back with your punch and land cleanly, that can sway the judges as well.
Yeah, and that's something that I noticed from these rounds. That I guess I was waiting for Canelo to take a rest off or take a whole minute off, and he didn't eat that whole minute.
And that's that stamina thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
I told you, I've never seen Canelo gas out before. So I don't know where this theory comes from, man. You need to stop listening to this media people, ESPN, whoever you're listening to. I've never seen him gas out. He only has one loss in his whole career.
When I say gas out, I mean he doesn't. In the past fights, I've seen him completely take a minute off where he just doesn't throw much. He just, he goes back to the ropes, and he just doesn't. He does some defense, but it's not. He's really resting his arms.
Yeah.
I see him not really throw much.
But he's never really been a volume puncher.
Who?
I think Canelo. I think over the years he's adopted kind of like that Mayweather style where you don't waste too many punches, right? And he, I think his style is counter punching. So.
Well,
I've never seen him gas out on a fight. I'm just saying. I don't know where this comes from. That his stamina is an issue.
Chris, do you think he has a stamina issue?
The first fight, yeah. Against Triple G, the first fight, yeah. That's why
I think you're the two best fighters are fighting each other. So obviously there's gonna be they're gonna get tired. Even in this fight, both guys look tired at the end of the fight. So
did Triple G look tired in the first fight?
No, not really.
Because he was coming toward him. So before the fight even started, I mentioned last August when we were doing the boxing event that I'm concerned for Triple G because we look at the first fight and we think Triple G may have the disadvantage because he's what?
Older.
Older, and later on Triple G could beat him up, this and that. So then you have 8-year difference. And then you get suspended. Then you have a 6 months Like, like 6 months to refresh your body. Mm-hmm. So I already knew that was going to, his body was going to be different this time around. And he showed it towards the end.
I actually think Triple G did get tired in the first fight. I think they both have really good poker faces that they don't always show it, but he was doing a lot of, he was the aggressor, so he was cutting off the ring, he was attempting to.
And so he missed a lot of punches.
And he was chasing a lot, so and we do see Triple G, breathe hard. We see him pump his chest, and so I did think he did get tired, but he has a good poker face where he keeps coming, and he makes you feel he makes the other his opponent feel like he's not tired. But
yeah, I think Triple G, he made the adjustments from round 6 to 12. He took a round probably within 4 or 5, found one round between 1 and 5, and then the rest towards everything with Triple G. Like, he changed the narrative a lot towards the middle of the rounds. And that's why I think that conversation when Abel Sanchez told him we're losing, that woke up Triple G.
So Chris, you feel like he won rounds maybe 5 to most of the rounds 5 to 11?
I think from rounds 6 to 12, he probably won 5 of them.
Oh wow!
And then probably from rounds 1 through 4, I give him the 4th round.
Okay. You agree with that, Gio?
No, I disagree.
Well, I'm not gonna watch the fight again. I already said it, but I know what I saw. But I scored the first fight 115, 113 before the judges came out. I had it right. I scored this fight. The text messages, it says 114, 114 before the judges even said it. So I'm on to something.
Yeah, I think from 6 to 12, Triple G probably won 3-4 rounds to me. I think it was just that first half of the fight where he probably lost it, and that 12th round too. I think Canelo just had more energy.
Yeah.
I mean, he just threw more punches, and even Abel said it. In that round, Triple G kind of took some time off. He would take 20 seconds and rest, and then at that time, Canelo was swinging at him. So, I mean, you can see. I thought that 12th round, Canelo won it, and I think Triple G needed a convincing 12th round to win the fight, to draw, to tie it.
Yeah, he started off really well. I think he landed 2 very solid power punches, right on the money, and I think he won the first 30 seconds. If he would have had another, flurry like that or another combination, I think he could have stolen that round. It would have been hard not to give him that round.
But I think that's the reason why I feel like Triple G left it all in the ring. He couldn't find any 30 more seconds. That's why he stepped away from the ring. I can't do an interview. I already did everything I can. Looks like. That's why I think 2 days ago, Tom Alford said that, we can't get a decision in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first time I heard anybody within the Triple G's camp they say something negative after the fight. Because after the fight was done, all you hear, we got to respect Canelo.
Yeah.
A lot of I don't want to say the word, but literally they were just embracing Canelo.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you got to respect after all that mess conversations that you said leading up to the fight, all the bad publicity. Well, not bad publicity, but you're putting a lot of hate towards the fight when it was mutual in the beginning.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was curious to see what was going to happen. If they gave Triple G a close, controversial decision, how was Abel going to react to it? In this case, it went the other way, a close decision for Canelo, and he showed a lot of respect for Canelo. He said, because a lot of reporters were asking him, what did he think about the scorecards? Obviously he thought Triple G won, but he said, we can't sit here and cry every time that they don't give us a close decision. You got to give Canelo, his respect.
Well, the HBO helped control the narrative for the third fight, if there's actually even going to be a third fight, because they were acting like Triple G died already after the end of the fight. Yeah. Because now Canelo could do whatever he wants.
Even in the post-fight press conference, it was a very quiet conference.
Yeah.
Triple G looked kind of sad. And then before he left, he's like, "Don't worry, I'll be back, guys."
Yeah. This guy is not dead.
Yeah. That's the thing. When you try to close the door on somebody, it's because, and we talked about this, Chris, if you don't have a big following, if you're not a knockout artist, it's going to be very hard to promote you. And obviously, Triple G's not very known to the casuals as much. I mean, if it wasn't for the first Canelo fight, a lot of people would not have known who he was. So it's he's gonna have to have another big fight.
Yeah.
I don't know with who. It's for him to get back.
So I was actually thinking about that, and I don't want to like cut off the rest of what happens in the later rounds from 9 through 12, but so there's already talk about Canelo maybe fighting in December, and I actually thought this was actually going to happen like months ago, probably like in May or June. Like I think he's going to probably fight in December after the Triple G fight, just because Golden Boy and HBO has not. They have, dude. Have you seen like it's hard. Like you hardly even see any fights anymore in HBO.
Yeah.
And they know if they have Canelo fight, it's going to be on pay-per-view, right? Anybody's going to buy it.
It's crazy. Like, I think HBO and Showtime is like the new pay-per-view.
What do you mean?
Like, you don't really see big fights anymore. Like you said on, like...
Oh, you're saying
on
that
HBO
subscription? Like
Yeah.
HBO or now pay-per-view? That's an interesting point. That's like the new pay-per-view. Subscription?
Yeah.
Like, even Triple G, all his fights are on HBO, but they're pretty big fights, too. Like, it was not until recently when he started, like, fighting in pay-per-view.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo does fight in December, but who it's going to be, more than likely, it's going to be somebody within the Golden Boy, right? So they could keep the money. So more than likely, it's going to be David Lemieux. They cannot feed him to one guy.
Yeah,
They cannot.
Yeah.
And if they allow him to fight Canelo, I'm going to be so pissed off. You know why?
Why?
Because I told you in the beginning that they were going to offer him to fight against Triple G on May 5th.
Yeah,
But then the boxing commission said, nope, he's too young. So if they let him do it,
I think it's too soon. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's too
exactly.
Who's he promoted by?
Golden Boy.
So it's not going to happen.
it's not gonna happen.
No,
That's their
Golden
next.
Boy's not going to do that.
But look how many
That's
things.
his next guy.
Okay,
That's next guy.
but look how come on. When you talk about Golden Boy, you're talking about basically literally one guy, and that's Canelo. So they could do whatever they want.
They could, but it seems like they're gonna keep putting.
Give Oscar some credit, man.
Yeah,
They're gonna putting Munguia and Canelo.
yeah, they have to like. They'll be stupid
Eventually,
to feed
it'll
him.
happen.
Yeah, because Canelo's on his prime. He's 27, 28.
28,
And
Kid
so
is like what, 21?
21.
21. Yeah, they're gonna have him fight big fights with whoever just to make more money, and maybe when he's in his early 30s, they might give him 2 more.
Yeah, 2 more years.
Yeah, I see.
And there's
Yeah.
so many fighters that Canelo can fight. I mean, I think that's why if Canelo does fight David Lemieux, I'm cool with that. If it's for December, that's fine. But if I was Triple G and I'm thinking like, who should I fight? I would not consider like not waiting until May. If you could get the third rematch, I would say like try to fight in January. See if you could try to find the winner of between Andrade and Billy Joe Saunders. Because you know why? Because if that happens and Triple G does win that fight between those two, that means he has a champion.
Yeah.
So then you have leverage, so you can finally have an undisputed 160 fight in May.
I want that Billy Joe Saunders title to go. Yeah. That's just getting in the way from that undisputed title.
Yeah.
I feel like after this this fight with Triple G and Canelo, like this too, I don't see a lot of there's no rush for them to get back into it. Like there needs to be a title, or there needs to be something to get people excited again.
Yeah.
Because it was such a like climactic ride, this one, and so people need like a break from it so they could come back and fall in love with it one more time.
I can see that happening, what I just mentioned, but I could also see another storyline where Triple G could probably fight Canelo all the way until next September.
Yeah.
Because what could happen is that, let's say that Billy Joe Saunders and Andrade fight, right, and Billy Joe wins, right? Then Triple G beats Billy Joe sometime in January to get the belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who's Canelo going to fight? Oh, he has leverage because he could fight the winner between Daniel Jacobs and Derevyanchenko, because they have the other 160 fight. So they could try to fight a unification fight for May 5th. And that just buys more time. Because if you were Canelo, who would you rather fight, Jacobs or Triple G?
I'd say by Jacobs. What do you think?
I don't know how Jacobs makes 160.
Yeah, no,
He's a big boy,
He's a big
man.
guy.
But I'd rather fight Jacobs. Yeah, definitely.
What do you think, Chris? Do you think Triple G or Jacobs?
What do you mean?
Like, who do you think Canelo would rather fight?
Oh, Jacobs.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be an easy fight though.
It's not.
Like at all.
I'm going to be rooting for Jacobs.
He's gonna come in big.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, he might come in small. Try to match him speed.
I don't know. I don't know why Jacobs is in the mix, honestly. Who has he beaten?
Who has he beaten? You're right.
You know, the only fight, the only
Chocolate?
reason that's the only reason they put him in the mix. And because he had that O in his record.
Oh, who's he beat? Oh, he beat cancer, dude. That's more.
Mm.
That's more
Oh,
than
that's
you
why.
can expect. All right.
That's why.
All right, so to break down the final rounds, Gio.
Yeah, final rounds. Yeah, I think in the ninth round, Canelo started gaining a little bit more momentum. But in the 10th round was actually Triple G's best round, and that's interesting because we talked about that. Every time you thought Canelo was gaining that advantage, Triple G would come back with a strong round.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this one was even more impressive because it's at the end of the fight, and considering all the he took some good body shots and
Oh yeah.
a lot of head shots too, but especially to the body, he took a lot of shots. So we all thought he was tired, but his 10th round was his best round.
Yeah, no, that I think that was the most one-sided round for both fighters.
Yeah, that was the easier one to score out
Easiest one
of
to
probably
score.
the whole fight.
Yeah, and I would have loved to have seen Triple G do more of that, but again, it's Canelo has great defense. Something that really surprised me in that round, I think, Canelo could have easily just stood back, outboxed. He could have probably moved some more, and he would have won that round. But I think he felt that was a championship rounds at the beginning, and I think he opened up himself up a little. I think he took some hits. I don't want to say on purpose, but he opened himself up to give a memorable final rounds.
And it was still a close fight at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Those last 3 rounds were huge.
Yeah. So,
and I think just the last 2 rounds, I think it was just Canelo being the fresher guy and just a younger guy. He was able to just throw more punches and just land little punches, but I mean they're still counting in your favor.
mm-hmm.
And like we said, it goes down to the whole thing. Triple G's not going to get a decision in Vegas. I think those last 2 rounds he had to win convincingly, and he didn't do that really. And one thing that was interesting, Abel said, they keep asking all these questions, but it's just Canelo didn't let us.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see Triple G run over guys, but this is a different caliber of fighter that he's facing.
Yeah, and we saw Triple G employ that jab. So he was using that jab to try to get in. Your jab is the thing that, keeps that distance. It sets up the right. And Triple G just his jab was excellent. It's just he couldn't do that final, the final touch.
The reason why there's a lot of emphasis on the jab is because I feel like the jab breaks you down mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you jab somebody and you're trying to come in oh, stay back.
Yeah.
Oh, stay back. How am I going to go in, right, to try to fight? So I think that's one thing with that being said, that if Triple G sticks with the lab, you think that Canelo is going to back away. Oh, I can't get in. But he found his best punches when he came in, fighting that jab,
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of that head movement,
and that was
that waist.
One of the things I mentioned before the fight. I feel like just Canelo's better at adjusting to the fight than Triple G is.
Definitely.
And also, I think you mentioned this, Christian. Triple G threw and landed a lot of jabs, but he didn't really follow it up with the right or to the body, right? And I think, Triple G threw that jab well to kind of stop Canelo's momentum, but Canelo threw the body shot very well, and that really stopped Triple G's momentum in this fight.
Yeah. And you guys remember there was another fight where Triple G used that same jab to as masterpiece. That was against Lemieux. And this is a guy with power. You thought he was gonna, gotta be careful because Lemieux can land one and stun you, take you out. That that didn't happen against Triple G, but with Canelo, he just that jab was still there, but
Canelo found a way.
It must have been the angles, like that defense walking in, but
at the end of the day, you have to give a lot of respect to Triple G, being at that age of 36 years old, fighting against probably one of the best fighters in the world at 20 years old, and it's prime. So we can only judge Canelo 6-8 years from now, see who he fights, if there's a huge age difference.
Right. Exactly.
But it's gonna be hard. You know why? Because he's an A side. He can pick and choose whoever he wants, just like Mayweather.
And that's one of the things that I mentioned before the fight as well. You know, to me, I couldn't see a Triple G winning, but I said if Triple G can pull this off, like, that's only gonna make me mad because imagine him in his prime. If he would have fought guys like at this elite level, how much better he would have been. You know, he's fighting the best fight of his career at 37 years old. You know, if he was 27, you know, just imagine how good he could have been.
I mean,
hey man, don't cry, dude. Triple G's still in the game, man.
He is.
Come on.
It's not me. It's HBO that are trying to cast him. Like, oh, we still have him under contract.
Right.
What do we do with him?
What do you do with him, Chris? Who would you put him against?
I was literally thinking that Triple G should retire.
Oh, really? After this one?
Even before the fight started, like the second one, I thought Triple G should have just retire because his style of fight brings a lot of fans, but it's not a style that has longevity like after post boxing, you know. For Mayweather on his end, like he, you know, his style of boxing, you know, matches his style outside boxing, right? Whether meaning that he's comfortable inside the ring and outside the ring living life. But Triple G, he's taken so many look how many amateur fights he fought. Triple G, right? So he has that baggage, and he's been always at 160, and he's finally got his 2 biggest paychecks of his life. You know, one last September, then this September, like, and I think like there's nothing else more that you could prove for Triple G. I don't see him moving up weight at 160. I don't see that. You know why? Because there's no money at 168.
There's no money at 168. Yeah, there's no name fighters up there.
And I don't actually see Canelo fighting probably Triple G until next September.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be. You should take a break, a good 6 months off. You know, not fight, just rest up. You know, the way Canelo did, because we talked about that suspension. He actually got a lot of rest, and we saw that it paid. You know, paid off in the end.
Yeah, and also, I don't think there's any fights really worth it for Triple G now. There's no big money fights for him. You know, besides fighting Canelo, I don't think there's any other opponent like worthy of him fighting, really.
The only thing that was worthy for Triple G was to unify the division.
Yeah.
And now that he doesn't have not even a belt anymore.
Yeah. Throw him in there with Chavez Jr. for shits and giggles.
No. I think the only thing I could see is him fighting somebody. I don't know who, but it'll be like a retirement fight.
Yeah, that's
at the Forum.
Yeah, or even in Europe, you know,
in Kazakhstan.
go close to his people and have a farewell fight.
Nah,
there.
the big drama show always stays in this LA County, so it'll be in Inglewood.
It'll be in Inglewood, yeah.
Hey, I'll be there if it happens.
Oh, I will be there. I'll put my full check.
Who do you put him against for a farewell fight? Like Saddam Ali. The shots like
Come on, man.
You will put him with anybody that wants to fight him.
Yeah,
because it's
much.
hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to try to find, because even after seeing what Triple G did to Canelo in the second fight, like, you still want to fight Triple G.
Yeah, that's true.
So anybody,
Because like, even after this fight, he still looks good, man.
yeah,
Just because he didn't win and knock his guy out
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything, really. He still showed that he has a great chin. He has great stamina. He still has a power. It's just he just fought against Canelo, and that was it. But against any other opponent that night, he would have taken him out.
How much time we have left?
What is the time, Gio?
We have a lot of time left.
It's 8:30. So how much time?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. So do you want to transition? All right. So this Saturday we have Povetkin versus Anthony Joshua.
Joshua.
Number 1 heavyweight in the world.
Until
the big fight happens probably next year. So what are the expectations for Joshua in this fight?
I think he needs to knock him out. He needs to make a statement. You know, he's a year removed from possibly fighting Wilder. I feel like if he doesn't knock this guy out, it's gonna be a disappointment. Povetkin's not that big. He has a punch, but he's not a I don't think he's at Joshua's level. So for me, anything other than knockout is gonna be a disappointment.
Yeah, I don't really care what happens in that fight. If he doesn't get the knockout, I think that gives Wilder a little bit more incentive to fight him. So I don't really care what happens. I don't think it hurts anything. It's not gonna hurt him. It's not gonna,
Do you think he needs rounds?
No.
No.
He needs a knockout. I agree with you. He needs a knockout because if you look at the heavyweight division, there's nobody else to fight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because you already see Wilder probably fighting a fight against Tyson Fury, the guy that's took the belt from the big fighter, right? Klitschko.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have that little edge, psyche, like,
mentally.
I just knocked out that last person. That's going to be what I'm going to do to you in the next fight, So Joshua, he needs that. And the thing is, like, if you saw the fight against Joseph Parker, that was his first fight that went to decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because a lot of people, he didn't knock him out because Parker is a good competition, That's why when you see like fighters like Canelo, how come Canelo hasn't knocked out Triple G, right? Because you're fighting against somebody that maybe might be in your level, right? So even with Triple G too, like how come Triple G didn't knock out Jacobs? Because you're fighting against like a top fighter,
Yeah.
So Joshua, he needs to knock out Povetkin. And I'm not discrediting anything to Povetkin because he's a good fighter too. I wouldn't be surprised if he surprises him, honestly.
Oh, really? It's possible. We've seen.
And when I say surprise, I'm not talking about like him winning the fight. I'm talking about like he scares him with a good punch.
With a good punch.
Yeah, it's a heavyweight division.
Yeah.
One punch.
And I think Povetkin fought Klitschko like years
yeah.
ago, and I think that one went to the scorecards, I believe.
I
Don't quote me on that, but I know something went up in that fight. But that was like years ago, like 4 years ago. So he's been in the ring with Klitschko.
He's got that experience.
So he has the experience. So Joshua has to like knock out Povetkin. If he doesn't, I'll be really disappointed. Yeah. That doesn't give it doesn't give momentum leading up to the pay-per-view fight against Wilder.
Yeah, I agree. Povetkin, I think he has that experience. He's been in there with Klitschko. He's been in with the Chars. He's knocked out a lot of like some contenders in that heavyweight division. So we've seen Joshua be he's been caught like before with punches. He's been knocked down. He's hit the deck. So I agree, Chris. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets hurt here and there. Hopefully he gets his legs under him. If that happens, he's able to
Yeah, anybody will appreciate you getting hurt as long as you took the risk.
Yeah.
So hopefully Joshua takes the risk and knocks out this fighter that's on everybody's dreams for him to fight Wilder.
Yeah, but I think also that's a good experience for Joshua. People forget how young he is.
I don't think he needs more experience. Like, you don't need no more rounds after you fought Klitschko like that.
I think so, yeah.
After that, like, I know what type of fighter you are. Like, if I know that you're looking like you're losing like a fight, you're losing the fight, I know that you could come back after what I saw against Klitschko.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing I saw with Wilder versus Luis Ortiz.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that Wilder had that in him.
Yeah.
He was losing the fight.
I don't think it hurts you if you have a tough fight like that and you go to the scorecards. I don't think it hurts you.
No, but you need something to build on, the pay-per-view fight. That's what I mean. And Joshua hasn't knocked out a fighter this year because he only fought Joseph Parker. So he needs to finish this year with a bang, right? Because he's not going to be fighting any other time this year.
Yeah, because Wilder has knocked out all of his opponents, correct?
Yeah, and it's also the debut of the new promotion of Danza too, so he has to make sure he puts that promotion event on the spot.
So Joshua, I guess he only fights at Wembley in London. Do you guys see that fight go in there?
Which one? The Wilder? No.
Joshua, if they were to win there, you don't see it going there?
I see it happening if there's a rematch.
Okay.
Yeah, but the first fight has to be in Las Vegas. Yeah, I think it's like in everybody's like history, like everybody that's a good fighter has to fight in Las Vegas for sure.
Yeah, that's where everybody wants to be. Even the British fighters, they can sell out arenas in England or whatever, but Vegas is still the number one destination, I think, for every boxer. I think it just puts you on a different level. Like, getting into that American market and trying to be more of a mainstream boxer and, increase your following.
Yeah. So I gotta ask you guys. I know we're gonna go a little. Do you guys see Wilder sparking Tyson Fury, or do you see Tyson, surprising if that fight comes to fruition?
Well, I'm rooting for Tyson.
I like Tyson.
But I don't know, man. Wilder, he has a powerful punch. I don't think he's that great of a boxer, but I mean, in that division, you don't really have to. If you have a good chin and have a lot of power, you can, win a lot of fights. I'm rooting for Tyson, but I think Wilder's gonna win.
Chris?
Yeah, I have Wilder, but it'll be interesting because the storyline is on Tyson Fury more than what it is for Deontay Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see Tyson Fury react, but I don't have any expectations but Wilder to win. But I'm not gonna be a hypocrite because I was texting, Team Tyson, so so I am gonna be rooting for Tyson just because I like the guy. He's kind of, he says some stupid stuff before and some things that I don't agree with, but he played his role leading up to the fight against Klitschko. He got under his skin, and he matched it up when he was inside the ring, and he took that belt. So I give him credit for that.
Okay. I'll be honest, guys. I think I like Tyson and Wilder more than Joshua. And I don't know why. I think maybe they're entertaining. Maybe they're just like fools on, with gloves on, and they're just. I like those two guys. They're just.
See, and that's why I'm saying, like, for Triple G, in order for him to be in that position, right, to have that fight, either you put yourself in a perspective where you're hated, you have a 0 record, or you're on the other side where you're knocking out people, right? So which end is Joshua in, right? He's the one that's supposed to be knocking out people, and he hasn't knocked out convincingly people these days. Yeah. So if you're going to promote yourself into a big fight, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah, it's something that's very prevalent in these, big fighters that have a following. They're very charismatic. Yeah. I think Tyson Fury has a lot of charisma. He's a funny guy. He talks shit. Like Wilder too. He, talks a lot. Joshua is very, I don't want to say soft spoken, but he's very laid back. Yeah. Relaxed. Triple G's a lot like that. We all know, Mayweather's been known for talking, so he has, it's like that self promotion. A lot of charismatic, fighters need that. And one fighter that's coming up is Ryan Garcia. He promotes himself very well. He has a lot of things going for him, very marketable. But I feel like that's one aspect of a fighter that's very important.
That's why I feel like this is going to sound crazy, but I think Wilder has the edge leading up to the fight mentally against Joshua. Because I feel like he has that confidence. I'm not saying that Joshua doesn't have confidence, but Wilder, like, he talks the talk. Joshua, you don't even know, like, you haven't seen that fight, that fire in him. We haven't seen that type of, like, I'm not sure if that's the type of person he is, but there's something about being a heavyweight that you have to be like
that bravado,
that bravado, Mm-hmm. But the cool thing about the heavyweight division, I was watching an interview with Andre Ward and ESPN, and they were talking about the state of boxing in general, and he said something so true. He said, wherever the heavyweight division is, that's where boxing goes. Yeah. So, like, right now, we're in this, like, nice roller coaster right now leading up to that big fight. And I think that's where boxing is in general right now, where you have, like, so many good fights happening in the middleweight, 147, 135. Yeah, boxing is good right now, Yeah.
All right, guys.
Pound for pound.
For pound,
I want to hear your list after this weekend's fight.
Okay, no,
because I heard it before the fight.
We're going to...
Are you doing top 10? Because I can't.
Top 5.
Okay, because I can't give you top 10.
We have 20 minutes. Let's go into the top 5.
Top 5. You could go.
Oh, you want me to start? Okay. Okay, here's my top 5. Drum roll. Number 1. I have a tie for first. I have a tie for first. Yeah.
Nah, you have to pick a fighter.
Before.
No.
I think it's.
I want to hear it.
I have Lomachenko and now Canelo.
All right, you have a quarter? Because you have to pick a side.
Okay, no, I'll have Lomachenko number 1 and Canelo 2.
Wow.
And I'll tell you guys why.
Me too. Go ahead.
Lomachenko had just... Okay, we're talking about... These are the 2 guys that have fought pound for pounders on the list. Yeah. Lomachenko fighting You know, Rigondeaux. Yes, he was a smaller guy, but he was still a pound for pound guy, and he just dominated him. So, and that of course that's adding to the fastest one to get 3 belts, 3 weight divisions, but it's just the dominance that he's showed, and that's a reason why I have my number 3 guy, Terrence Crawford, in 3. He's also dominated opponents, but no pound for pounders. So that's why I have Lomachenko 1. Canelo, based on what he just beat Triple G, another pound for pounder, and I think he edged it. And his resume, I think he has the best resume, even better than Lomachenko, even better than Mikey and Crawford. He has that resume where he's fought everybody. He's fought. Gio, I said it. Champions, former champions, Hall of Famers. He just has that resume. If he would have probably dominated Triple G, I probably would have had him number 1. For sure, like without a doubt.
So before the fight, you didn't have him top 10, but now
I didn't have him top 10.
You skipped like 20 spots, and he's number 2 now.
And I didn't have him top 10 because there was
That's
some
embarrassing.
fights. There were some fights.
That is blasphemous.
There were some fights in the past where I thought
should be ashamed.
Where he lost. I think he lost. I feel like he lost to Lara, and I feel like, he lost to Mayweather, but you can't take anything away from that. Everybody loses to Mayweather, but there were just some fights where I was just like, I know he's got the goods, but he needs to truly convince me, and he convinced me this time around. So, number 1, Lomachenko. Number 2, Canelo. Number 3, Bud Crawford. Number 4, I would put Mikey. Mikey, for everything he's done. He's undefeated. He's fought the champions at every level. He's calling out, pound for pounders. So if you're calling out the pound for pounders, you have some confidence, and you really want to test yourself. That those fights haven't been made yet, that's another issue. But he's calling out these pound for pounders, so he believes in himself. And number 5, I would
Don't do it.
And number 5, I would put Usyk, just because he's unified, his division. So that's my 5.
At least you didn't say Errol Spence, man. I was about to walk.
No.
I was about to walk out.
So those are my 5. Very close though, from like 5 to 9. Very close.
All right, I'll give you my top 5. Number 1, Lomachenko. I think he just won more belts in more divisions, right, than Canelo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only edge I give him. And also, he took out Rigondeaux, who a lot of people considered like top 3 pound for pound, annihilated him. So I give him the number 1 spot. Canelo, I give him 2. He just beat the guy who a lot of people considered the top pound for pound guy, and he's now pretty much the undisputed champion at 160, right? I had him in my top 10 at, before that. You guys didn't. So, I'm still mad at that. But, yeah, to me, he just skipped a couple spots, and he's at number 2 now. Hopefully people give him his credit now. Mm-hmm. Number 3, Mikey. Same thing. He's fighting different weight classes. And he's been knocking out his opponents. His last fight he didn't. But I think he's just been fighting different weight classes and winning the belts. And number 4, I have Crawford. I think that's the edge he has over Crawford. Crawford, he's barely starting to do that at 147 now. Mm-hmm. He just won the belt. And he's a good talent. I just hope he gets big fights now to see if he's really that good. Yeah. Number 5, I have Joshua. The number 1 heavy...
it's blasphemy.
The number 1 heavyweight champion in the world.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Wait, repeat your top 5 again?
Lomachenko 1, Canelo 2, Mikey 3, 4 Crawford, and 5 Anthony Joshua.
I disagree with Joshua on that one.
He's the number 1 heavyweight in the world, right?
He is.
I've talked about this before. I try to put the top guys at every weight class. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I think I have Soren Visai in my top 10 too.
Yeah.
Because he's dominating the lighter divisions. I still have Triple G at number 6.
Yeah, same here.
I think just one loss. He pretty much wiped out his division, so that one loss hurts him. And then I also have Leo Santa Cruz, number 10.
Yeah, that's why they didn't want to do.
That's why we do top 10. All right.
They didn't want to do that. So I don't want to say anything that I regret later on. Like, maybe I should have not put that fighter in my top 10. Yeah. I don't have no paper or anything like that I wrote down my list. But off my head, Lomachenko, And the only reason why, just because he has a 12-1 record, and who is he have fought within that span, right? Nicholas Walters, Guillermo Rigondeaux, Jorge Linares, right? And look, this guy's coming out from surgery, and he's going to be fighting for a belt already, right?
Yeah.
But it's within the top rank, right? So that's what bothers me again. So that's number one. And then number two, Terrence Crawford.
Oh, come on, man. Here we go.
No, number two, because
Who has he fought? Tell me.
it's not who has he fought, because I just
I'm glad you bring that up. I'll let you finish.
No,
I'm glad you bring that up.
no
I'm
because
gonna let you finish.
no because I almost feel like I planned this, me saying Terrence Crawford, leading up to what I've been saying all before. He has milked everybody within whoever has top rank has, besides Pacquiao, because Pacquiao doesn't want to fight him, so don't give him that. But he's milked everybody that's been fighting. And then when Freddie Roach has a Victor Postol under his management, he says, "Oh, this is when he had Miguel Cotto. My best fighter is Postol." And then when he fought him, he schooled him. He schooled him. And then this is my strongest argument: Terrence Crawford did something that Floyd Mayweather didn't do, and that's become undisputed champion within division. So who else do you fight within that division? He milked everybody.
Yeah.
He milked out everybody. So when Keith Thurman comes out and says,
Actually, nobody's.
well, whose fault is that?
No, it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
The title is
Yeah.
out there somehow.
Hey, but at the end of the day, like his style, and he becomes an undisputed championship. When Danny Garcia could have done the same thing, but he chose to move up the weight. And I'm not sure if it's because he wanted to like not fight Terrence Crawford, but he vacated the belt, and that belt went to Victor Postol. And then Freddie Roach said, "Oh, he's my best fighter." And what did Terrence Crawford say? He just beat your best fighter and within your stable. So that's my argument with top two. Yeah. So the only reason why I'm bringing up this guy as top three is because, like, when Chocolatito lost to that first fight,
Let's check up everything.
you cannot just like write him out and just put him in top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nah, because a lot of people saw that fight. Nah, I think Chocolatito, he won that fight. You know, and I think because he had that cut. You know, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I have Triple G as number 3. Yeah, because like even in the first fight, like I still have him winning 115, 113, and then it's still like I still have it as a draw. And I still put Triple G as number 3. And then for number 4, I'll put Canelo. I'll put Canelo number 4. It's hard because
I'll see you later, guys.
no,
Nice talking to you. Have a great rest of the show.
no, I'll put Canelo. And see, this is what this goes back to what I said. I don't want to say anything I regret, because. And the only reason why I have Canelo number 4 is because I'm torn between Errol Spence or Canelo.
Oh my. All right, guys. So might see you next week. I think I might skip next week.
No, the
I'll
only
see you
reason.
next month.
Look, those two guys need to be
Unbelievable.
deserving within that ranks of top 5 fighters.
Wait, who has a Spence fought? Just refresh my memory. I don't remember.
Okay, he beat Lamont Peterson.
Okay.
You don't think Lamont Peterson is a good?
He lost to everybody, but okay.
Who? But Lamont Peterson is a good fighter. All right.
Good. Keyword good.
But like, okay, and then he went to England and he beat Kell Brook, right? A fighter that beat who did he?
Porter.
Exactly. And who did Porter just beat? Danny Garcia, right? And who did Sean Porter give a good fight against?
Thurman.
Keith Thurman, right? So that's where I put the reason why I put Errol Spence right there, because there's so many plot lines leading up to why he's there.
He's not even the number 1 welterweight in the world.
Who do you have as number 1 welterweight?
Keith Thurman is still the number 1 welterweight in the world. He just hasn't fought.
No.
You can't just write him off like that.
Nah, because when somebody says you have to wait in line,
Yeah. I guess
and then you say, oh, when during Mayweather was fighting, oh, I wanted to fight Mayweather. Nah, how come Mayweather said, oh, wait in line? Nah, just fight him when you can. In fact, Keith Thurman is gonna regret when he fights Errol Spence, because Errol Spence is younger than Keith Thurman. I think Thurman is like 2 years older. So in the end, we're gonna look at the age difference later on. So that's why I'm torn between Canelo and Errol Spence. So I have I don't know. I guess Canelo number 4 and Errol Spence at number 5. But the only reason why I put Canelo there is because I think Canelo went in a different level, you know, compared to that first fight. And the thing is, like, who has he fought? You know, that's why, like, it's so hard to judge Canelo because, like, nobody knows what weight class he actually is. You know, he's fought.
I feel like that's with every boxer nowadays.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's no traditional welterweights. There's no traditional middleweights.
So that
there's super middleweight. There's light middleweight. There's this and that. I don't even think that matters anymore. The weight classes.
No, but if that's the case, if that's like the new normal of boxing, then he's doing a hell of a good job because he's being adapted to all these different types of weight divisions, right, within his own catch weight. So I'll put Canelo at 4 and then Errol Spence number 5. I'm not going to do top 6 and 10. That's hard.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
But I will say that this from months August all the way to December, we'll have a clear picture who's top pound for pound fighter. Just because next week we have Terrence Crawford. No, I think in October. No, we have Joshua fighting this month. We have Terrence Crawford fighting in October. Soren B-Side fighting in October. We have Wilder fighting in November. Right, and then we have Lomachenko fighting in December, so we have a bunch of fighters to make our case later on for top pound for pound fighter.
Yeah, this is my problem with Joshua. I feel like I can't put him in the top 5 until he beats like a Fury or a Wilder. He's only beaten he's beaten a past his prime Klitschko. Yeah, he is. You know,
see, but that's where you got to keep this energy. It's not his fault. Right?
I mean,
it's not his fault who he's fighting. I mean, he still beat the man.
Yeah, but and Klitschko was like he went on another level. Like Triple G in the second fight.
Think that gets him into the pound for pound rankings. But like, I mean,
that's the criteria I use. If you're knocking guys off the pound for pound list, then you should be up there, right? Lomachenko did it with Rigondeaux. Yeah. Canelo did it with Triple G. Soren Bisa did it with Chocolatito. Anthony Joshua did it with Klitschko. I mean, those are facts. I'm not basing it off my opinion. Oh, I think Errol Spence is really good, so I'm going to put him up there. You know?
Yeah. I'm saying facts, too. Against Errol Spence.
Nobody.
I just said a number of things.
The guy with the broken eye, that's who he beat?
Oh, my.
Come on, man.
See, I have Joshua in the top 10, but I don't until he fights other than Klitschko, like a actual in their prime fighter, I can't put him in the top 5. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. I think there's other guys who could be in top 5.
Yeah, because
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, because I can see like top 6 and 7 for sure. Joshua or Mikey Garcia, one of those two.
So I mean, for sure, we have 4 fighters that we named in the top 5: Lomachenko, Canelo, Mikey, and Crawford. That we all named.
It's just man, I was Errol Spence.
We didn't have him.
Yeah, that's why.
I had him, I think, at 7 or.
Yeah, somewhere up
8,
there.
Somewhere up there.
So do you put him as like one of your top 5 fighters pound for pound if he fights Mikey Garcia and he beats him?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
See?
I do.
You're fighting a guy like 50 pounds
smaller.
lighter than you.
But it's like that's the same criteria that we put Lomachenko and because he beat Rigondeaux. So.
Right.
So I would.
There wasn't that big of a difference though.
That's 8 pounds. This one's what, 15?
I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Errol Spence is a big welterweight. I think he should be at 154.
Yeah, he should be.
But he's at 147.
I mean, if they fight and Mikey beats him, Mikey becomes, to me, the number 1.
And by the way, I'm going to call it right now. I bet you Danny Garcia is going to be fighting at 154 from now on. I think he's going to be done at 147.
You think so? He's ducking somebody or?
He created his name at 154, I think. There's not that many competition. 154, that's why.
Think Angel will advise him to do that?
I don't think Abe was going to buy something. He's going to get a new trainer.
Oh, you think so? You think he's going to leave his daddy? Ooh. No, you calling
it here first.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a winner, I'd say Golovkin won it with the jab.
All right, guys.
Oh. Dropping bombs, Lampley.
Man, if he drops his dad, that would be surprising to me.
It has to happen.
Well, will it happen?
In fact, I was reading an article that the boxing commission is thinking about not having dads or family members in the ring as their trainers. Yeah, I was reading an article.
I mean,
I'll share it later on.
I mean, this sport is like, I feel like that's one of the cornerstone of this sport is like the father-son relationship. Like usually it's the dad that takes your son, like the son, to start boxing. That's
Now, do you think Danny Garcia would be a better boxer if his dad wasn't in his corner this whole time?
That might be the case a little bit, maybe. I'm not
I
sure.
kind of think so.
Yeah.
But I also think that his dad is able to motivate him, you know, in a
Like
different
nobody
way
else.
that maybe another trainer wouldn't be able
I agree.
to do it. But I don't know, man.
It's just that we haven't seen like Danny Garcia evolve as a fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he gets better every time I see him. It's just the same fighter,
Mhm.
same style of fight.
No, yeah. Who would be a potential trainer that you see him like teaching him like the things that he needs to learn?
Chepo Reynos.
No, Manches. Chris, the Virgil Hunter type.
That could be one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he had surgery, something like that. Like, I know he was sick. I don't know. But I don't think we should be talking about Dan Garcia in this segment. I just came up.
He just took an L.
I just needed to. I just needed to throw that out there.
All right, final thoughts on the fight?
Which one? The Triple G?
Yeah,
Canelo?
Triple G. Biggest fight in boxing this year. What's your final summary?
My summary? You shouldn't be disappointed watching that fight at the end of the day. I saw people, I think it was kind of, I don't know why people do this, that people were burning Triple G shirts outside the stadium. I guess they were mad at Triple G. Yeah, that's uncalled for. Even if you're a Canelo fan and you're burning something for Triple G, like you have to put some context into the respect of the sport of boxing.
That's one of the things I mentioned before the fight. You know, I just hated listening to all the media stuff, you know, because I just wanted both fighters to get the respect they deserve, regardless of the final outcome, you know. And I feel like that rarely ever happens.
Yeah, it was a beautiful fight at the end of the day. And I think you can't take nothing away from both fighters because they brought their game. That's why when both fighters brought their end games, I think it should have been a draw in the end.
Yeah. With me, something I said like to myself, I was like, if I see Canelo and Triple G embrace and hug it out at the end, it means like we got treated to a great fight because they put all their bad blood, all the bullshit that went down. They left it all in the ring, and that's exactly what we saw. You know, at the end they hugged it out, and I was like, man, we got a great fight. I was not mad at the decision, to be honest. Like Canelo brought it. You know, it takes two to tango, and they both gave us like a great fight.
Yeah, and
you know,
I think
two great middleweights.
I think in years to come, people will realize that this was a classic fight.
Yeah.
They don't see it now, but I think they'll see it later on.
Yep. Awesome. With that, guys, we are going to close our first segment of Against the Ropes.